Coming up next on Get Caught in a Net.
You are now tuned in to Mind, Body, and Soul with ANet, where your host, ANet Harris, analyze intriguing life questions and concerns, such as, do Christians suffer from mental illness? Have you wondered why they act abnormal? Or you may ask, what is really going on in their minds? Do you need ANet? Well, keep listening for a biblical understanding of the psychology of the mind.
Great evening, guys, and welcome to another wonderful segment of Mind, Body, and Soul with ANet. I'm your girl, your host, ANet Harris. I am the CEO of Get Caught in a Net Incorporated, your certified mental health ambassador, and two-time award-winning author of that bestseller, Surviving a Silenced Heartbeat. Listen, guys, we are in our third segment this month for Be Well Mental Health segments. And I'm going to bring in my guests. Before I do that, I want to encourage you. We are live on my Facebook channel, YouTube, Instagram at Get Caught in the Net, so you shouldn't miss us. And I would encourage you to please share, like and share, love and share, throw up the care button if you would not mind. You can tag individuals directly into this live stream, because if they're not able to watch it live, they can always come back and watch the recorded segment later. So I am bringing in one by one. Dr. Carolyn Stevens is with us on this evening. Again, Yolanda Niels is with us. Yolanda Niels, Kindred, excuse me. Let's see. And author Black Diamond is with us on this evening. And also, of course, leadership coach Rachel Gary has joined. She has joined the chat. And we are glad that she's here with us on this evening. Listen, guys, I promise you that if you did not catch the first two segments that we have been talking about mental health, be well mental health conversations here on Mind, Body, and Soul with ANet, I encourage you to go back and find those live streams to listen to it in its entirety. Now, tonight, we are going to have our subtopic, and it kind of caught on from last week. We were talking, and I believe Yolanda kind of jumped in there, and she kind of gave me. we were right there. We were right there of what I wanted to talk about on this evening. So when we're talking about mental health, we kind of stumbled onto this particular subtopic on last week. So we're going to focus on the affordability, the accessibility, and integrating of mental health care. And so this is what we want to talk about on tonight, address on tonight. So I do encourage you that are listening, that are watching, and I do see that you guys are here on Instagram. Thanks for coming in, Sir Walter Jones. We appreciate you. And so if you want to engage with us, I do encourage you to do that. If you have any input, we have this panel of experts on with us on this evening about mental health. And I promise you, it's going to be a great segment. So we're going to jump right in, because we're not going to be here very long on this evening. But I want to talk about, we want to talk about this because you know what, Dr. Stevens, I wanted to say that, many times and Dr. Stevens she's a Christian therapist, and you see underneath her name there, clinical family therapist. Many times individuals, they will reach out to me, Dr. Stevens, and say, do you know of a therapist or a counselor, that you could recommend? And it's like I have a list of them, right? And that's good. But then comes the thing, I have individuals that say, I want to get therapy, I want to get counseling, but I can't afford it. Insurance doesn't cover it, or or what have you. And so then we run into that, um, you know, too often, right? And I'm quite sure that in your field you've come across that as well. So when we said last week talking about affordability, I was like, that's it right there. We got to talk about that. And I know that before we even came on live, you were addressing the other panelists and what they do. So I don't know, maybe we can kind of start there to talk about affordability. Maybe some of you have had examples of individuals reaching out to you or saying that they can't afford it. Um, how can we start that conversation? Because we want people to get help, right? And we want them to be able to get what they need, and for it to be affordable. Of course, you're looking around and it's like it's almost kind of, they're not going to get what they need because they can't afford it. Dr. Stevens, can you jump in on that with me?
Sure, I'll be happy to jump in on that because it is a common conversation. Every other person that I talk to about mental health services, many people say, I know I need it, I'm willing to engage in it, I just flat out can't afford it. So I don't know if my colleague, because she likes to come on here, Ms. Shamika, she is a therapist and we talk about this, but then there's the other side that I'm just going to tap on that and not want us to really talk about it, but I'm only bringing it up to talk about what the disparity in terms of giving it some balance. So from the client side, yes, there are many people who want services and they just can't afford it. And tonight we'll talk about what could be some possible options. But then from the practitioner side, okay, there are practitioners who really want people to be able to get the services. I mean, that's what we're in the business for. But we also have to take care of our own livelihood. See, so that's where we start to run into the conflict because in our heart, we want to do it, but practical reasons sometimes prohibit us from being able to give those services away because then we also need to, look at our own living. So I was explaining that to a young lady when she said, well, why do therapists charge so much money? And so I'll talk a little bit later on about the things that I do to kind of balance that out in the best way that I can. And all of us tonight have platforms that we practice from. And so each of us can share by all means, in what ways do you help to combat the issue with affordability? Because the other issue, and I'm glad that Yolanda brought it up last week, is because many people, and this is something that, you can look this up, many people don't receive services for two major reasons, and affordability is one, and accessibility is the other one, because they getting the kinds of services that they want and need isn't always accessible. And so later on in the conversation, I'll share some of the things that I do. It's not nearly enough, but I do try to lend my part to helping to reduce some of that problem and some of that disparity. And I'll be happy tonight, ANet, to share with the audience where they can reach me, what I do have to offer, as everybody on the panel has something that they can offer, that collectively, this is our way of saying this is what our part looks like, in order to be able to at least start to combat that problem, in the hopes of reducing reducing the fact that there are still too many people who need the services but don't get them. So great topic. I'm looking to hear from my fellow panelists, and I'll chime in and talk about some of the things that I do when it comes to affordability and accessibility.
I love that. And I want to say, I saw how you worded that. You offer some things and it may not be a whole lot, but trust me, it is. And we appreciate whatever you do offer that you're going to share with us. That helps, because, you said some key words there. When you talk about, sometimes individuals will use that as an excuse to not get the help they need. And I don't mean that, I'm not saying that flippant, trying to be flip about it, but they will say, they'll acknowledge and know that they need to get that assistance or help. Oh, but I can't afford it, so I won't even try to look at any kind of avenues. But I think this conversation is important tonight to kind of lay it out, so that they will be able to understand and know, like, maybe, look at some resources. So with that in mind, come on, jump in here, Yolanda, for me. Unmute your mic.
Listen, I have a wonderful handyman here fixing our cabinet. So I'm going to jump in and I'm going to jump out.
Gotcha.
before he goes crazy on them cabinets. Dr. Stevens is absolutely on point. Those are two main reasons why I hear all the time people not exploring, expanding, embracing their mental health, mental and emotional wellness, right? From the coaching perspective to the counseling and therapy paradigm, people continue to complain about the price.
Right.
Most practitioners that I know, especially the ones that are housed in the Kindred Healing Center, all have their own way of helping society, like Dr. Stevens was sharing. So the first thing I do is I ask the people, have you asked if they have some sort of sliding fee scale, if they have some sort of grant program that they're affiliated with, if they have their own way, their own services that they can accommodate people with, based on the need, kind of thing. So that's one thing. The other thing is, I am personally receiving services at a holistic integrative medicine place in the suburbs. And I was intrigued at how they're making sure that everybody is able to pay for their very expensive services. And so I was just telling my guys at the center tonight, my chiropractors, I said, I think I've cracked the code. So there is something, and you all may already be familiar with it, called Care Credit.
Yeah. Wow.
No, tell me more.
And there's another thing called Affirm. And so what I realized is that layaway is back in style, baby. You can lay away your medical services. So I'm at this place.
Yes, you can.
The services that they're offering me are fairly expensive. The lady is telling me how I can pay. Just give me your social security number and I can get you set up. And before I can even really grasp what she's doing, I already got a limit that I can spend within their facility, right? And pay back every month. So I paid back my first set of services, and I was waiting to build up my money to get the next leg of the race of services, only to realize I could have just went back and they would increase the service. So the first set of services I got was like $700. That's the first on Affirm. I went back because I paid that $700 off in a good way. They gave me a $2,500 limit. So I was just talking to my chiropractors. I said, man, maybe we need to create some packages that we can offer to people that will be menial to them actually getting some level of comprehensive care and then being able to pay on it a little bit at a time, but you don't have to worry about if that's paid on it or not because you already got your money, right? And
Right.
so there are some creative ways that are on the market that allow us for us to pay for our medical care in a way that doesn't have to break the bank. When I tell you it was so easy for me to make these payments back, and the options blew my mind in terms of how I could make the payments back. They were very, very, very affordable, and
Okay.
it didn't put a dent in the time frame of me being able to access the services that are, benefiting me today. So I think that ultimately my statement is, as practitioners, we may have to look into expanding our lens in terms of how we can create ways for patients to to access us, to be able to afford us.
Okay. I love it. I love it. That was almost like, oh, that's a great solution.
Love it.
Now, I didn't know what you first said, care credit or credit care or something, and I didn't recognize it until you said Affirm.
No, Affirm is a different one.
Right, but that's the same concept though, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
I was at the dentist.
Same
Oh man,
concept.
what is it? The dentist offered me a different one. I forget what it's
Okay.
called. So I went back to my integrative medicine place and said, "Do y'all offer such and such?" And they were like, "Oh, we hadn't heard of that. Let me go sign up for it." Because I'm
See?
telling you, these institutions are looking for all kinds of ways to make the medical services affordable to the client, accessible, because you get approved right there on the spot. It really isn't so much about your credit per se as it is the need. And like I said, the payment options are very interesting, very affordable.
Okay. Now, did you say you started this in your practice or you're going to?
We are going to,
Okay.
because this is a recent aha for me.
Okay.
Because of my own personal experience. And like I said, I was just talking to my chiropractors today. And so at our center, one of the things that we've done to make the integrative medicine journey affordable is we've created packages that are a combination of different modalities, right? So chronic pain is a package, but you could go see the chiropractor, the mental health, the Reiki master, and acupuncture as a part of that package. And it might be $265. You know what I mean? And so that one introduces you to these different modalities in a way that you probably wasn't thinking about doing for chronic, to address your chronic pain, and two, doing so in an affordable way. So then once you get in and have the experience with these services, you then decide, I really like the chiropractor and I like the acupuncturist. I'm definitely coming back to see them. Or I might like all four. Sign me up. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
right.
it's a way to introduce people to a wellness journey in an affordable way.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Black, did I hear you? You were saying something when she was talking. Are you familiar with that? Did you want to jump in with that?
Care credit, because I use it, and you can use it. You can use it on your pets as well, and I use it for my kids as well. When I first got it, I had went to the dentist, and when they gave me the price of that, what it would cost, I was like, "Oh, I can't afford that." And that's when I saw the sign in there that said Care Credit, and I asked about Care Credit, and she put me onto the phone. I went to the side, called them, and she told me what my limit was. I said, "Oh boy, I can buy a car with this," and I was really happy with it. But of course, I bought a car with it, but it was Care Credit. And they do go up, just like Yolanda said, they do go up, but I said I'm gonna be careful with that. But I can get my kids braces. If I needed my dog to go to the vet, I can send them to the Care Credit is really, really good. And the minimum payments are really not that bad either. So it can help with families. It's just that they just gotta just watch how they're spending it. It's not a credit card to go buy, clothes and things like that. But it can be very, very expensive. Let's be honest, for a lot of people in our community, therapy sounds great until you can see the price tag. Sessions can run anywhere from maybe $100 to $250 an hour, maybe more. And that's before we even talk about medication or follow-up visits. So if you don't even have good insurance or any insurance, mental health becomes a luxury instead of a necessity. What I find
Mm.
hard is that we tell people get help, but we don't
Yeah.
talk enough about how to afford that help. I've seen families choose between paying a bill or booking a therapy session. And that's a real choice between people what they're facing every day. They got a balance between, do I pay this bill or do I seek therapy? Well, you're going to
Mhm.
wind up needing therapy once that bill gets bigger and bigger. So we got to start being smarter in the way that we talk with our clients about getting help. It's great to tell them that we to get help, but like you had mentioned earlier, that to have resources for our clients. And I think to even in your office to have a resource book, even while they wait, they can thumb through it. They can look through it. It'll be great to have it in your office. We got to keep pushing for affordable options, sliding scale therapy, community clinics, university counseling programs, and nonprofit organizations that connect people to free or even low cost servicing.
Right.
When I look at it, I realize that healing shouldn't come with a financial burden. Everyone
Mm.
deserves the right to be well is what we're here about, and that's what we're talking about, and that's to be well.
All right. Y'all already know what I say about Black. When she talks, she speaks. Your ears perk up. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Come on, Rachel. I know you traveling along the way.
Hey, I'm gonna be traveling every time, but this is an important conversation, so I always want to make sure I check in. Because my show is right before this, so I'm always
Right.
en route. But I really like that Yolanda picked up on the fact of that it exists, and it plays to that a lot of things of that when we don't know something, we can't act on it. And if
Right.
she hadn't used it for another service, she wouldn't even have thought about it for her own practice.
Right.
It's taking the opportunities really to research what's going on out there. Because I was going to say Afterpay is something that is available. That was what I was going to bring to the table because I offered that for my coaching program. That
Okay.
even though my coaching program is at a certain price point, Afterpay allows you to pay. I think it's like 5% of it a month, but I've already been paid. So it allows both of us to get what we need. I love a win-win situation, and
Yeah.
that's what I really like about the afterpays, the care pay, and all of those as well, because it gives you opportunity to still get the services you need. It's just making sure that you realize that those are also services that come with a where you're paying a little bit more at the end because they are credit services, and
Mm-hmm.
they're offered by institutions that are looking to benefit off of them.
Right.
But it gives you the care that you need today, and allows you to pay at a very very low rate.
Okay. Okay.
So I really am glad that Yolanda found it, because I was going to tell you Afterpay, because I had already put it in my notes to talk about it on the show.
Okay.
Afterpay, Sizzle. I mean, layaway is back.
Right.
And so the third one that I learned about at my
Yes, indeed.
dentist is Sunbit.
Hmm.
So when I went to the doctor, I said, "Do y'all offer Sunbit?" And they was like, "What is that?" And I told her, she was like, "We can ready to go sign up right now." So like Coach Rachel was saying, it's a win-win at the end of the day, because
Yeah.
the truth of the matter is, I also know a lot of struggling therapists. I know a lot of struggling coaches. I know a lot of struggling. My whole reason for having the Kindred Healing Center is so that we can create an ecosystem where we can
Mhm.
all build wealth and legacy alongside one another. Because later are the days where we do all this work and our children and our grandchildren don't really have anything to show for it, right?
Mm.
But we're doing most of the work for them.
Mhm.
So
Yes, yes.
at the end, so how do we build both? And this is a win-win kind of way for people to begin to receive what they need. It doesn't have to. Doesn't have to be the Afterpay kind of way, because, like I said, there's, like Dr. Stephen said, there's other ways that the practitioners have already built into their own systems to help people out. It's just you got to kind of get in where you fit in, and so that you can take care of you and yours.
Yeah. Definitely. Oh,
I'll
I
let
am
me say
loving this
one last thing,
conversation.
if you don't mind.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Let me say one more thing, if you don't
Oh,
mind.
sure.
This is a very important conversation today, and this is why. Healthcare, everything is being reconstructed. We are in a renaissance. This is reconstruction.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to rebuild our own systems and structures the way that we need to for us. I just watched a whole healthcare system collapse in a day,
Yep.
where thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in a day woke up and had no health care. And now I'm watching other healthcare systems follow suit.
Yeah.
They're getting closer and closer to their collapse line. I don't do this no more. I don't do that no more. I don't offer this no more. You can't do that no more. Because healthcare, with all due respect, insurance itself is the greatest hustle of America ever told, right? And they never intended to pay out so much money. But
Yep.
over the last 10, 15, 20 years, they've been paying out money, honey, because people have been sick and having to take care of themselves. And that was never intended in the original structure. So now that we get a chance to be a part of the reconstruction, what do you need your business to look like to be well for you and to be well for the people you serve? That's what we
Um,
ought to be thinking about when it comes to accessibility and access or affordability.
I love that, Yolanda.
I could not have.
I love that for you, Yolanda.
Yeah, I have services right now, group services that I do that people can use Afterpay. They can use Affirm. PayPal has a pay in for that I have put a package together for group therapy. I'm also going to do it for some individual sessions so that people can have a package of sorts where they can pay on it. Now, in addition to that, every year I take 10 women for 10 weeks and offer them an incredibly low sliding scale fee, something that like they can't afford not to be able to afford it. I just that is how I do my pro bono, my giving back. So for any of you ladies, especially, or anybody that's listening, you have an organization where you target women, and especially that need mental health care services, then please send them my way and I'll speak with them. I'll do an assessment, but I take 10 women a year and offer them 10 weeks of therapy at a very, very reduced cost. That is one of the ways that I'm able to give back every year to doing that. I'm in the process of developing group therapy sessions. I spoke with Yolanda about this one time because if I can service a group of people in a session, then their rate is going to be much lower because I'm only making myself available for an hour as opposed to an hour to a group of 5 or 6 people. And that's a way that I'm able to, be able to accommodate those people at an affordable rate. I'm going to be doing a lot more. Now, the thing is, I'm going to have to be doing a lot more different kinds of groups depending upon the modality, because everybody wouldn't need the services. So It's the same kind of services. And so my point that I'm saying is like what we're doing here is demonstrating a point that as community advocates, first and foremost, I know we're all business owners, but as community advocates, is that we have times where we're able to come together, mind map on ways that we're able to allow our business to still demonstrate what is in our heart, which is to help people. Like Coach Rachel, her business helps people to heal financially. That has a whole lot to do with mental health. But the thing is, Coach Rachel just invited me to do a segment within her platform about entrepreneurial anxiety. So it's still so we're kind of marrying the two. So I would suggest that, we begin to now come together and find creative ways that we are able to offer people the services that they need, but we just need to be creative about it and come together collectively and have ways on how we, can collaborate, because this is the season where we're gonna have to get creative. Yep. Crises to me means getting more creative. And, so that's what we're going to have to do. So we're just going to have to be more creative and say, hey, what is it that you can do? This is what I can do. And then we just marry those two things together so that we're able to come up with something holistically for the community that we're serving, but we're also able, to take care of ourselves as practitioners and business owners and coaches ourselves. So this is really great.
Yeah, I love it. Listen, I want to read this comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Over from Instagram, and this is people are joining in and they're making their comments. Sir Walter Jones says this is a great subject. When he was married and going through therapy, he had to stop the sessions due to the cost. And, that is something, of course, that we're addressing tonight. So all these different, solutions, resources that we're talking about on this evening is going to help someone. And I'm going to piggyback off of that. I was fortunate enough when I was writing my book, I realized that I needed to have therapy sessions during the time I was writing my book, because I was revisiting and reliving that trauma. So I knew, of a therapist. She was actually a resident therapist on my show years ago when I first started. And I reached out to her and I said, you know what? I said, I'm working on this really big project, because no one knew that I was writing it. And I said, but I am going to need to reach out to you for sessions. I need some sessions during this time. And I was grateful that my insurance covered it. I was surprised yet grateful. And what I had to do, of course, was pay like the copay, but my insurance covered it. So I was very fortunate, that happened, because I hear so many different ones saying that their insurance just will not cover. So, and the different things that you're offering, like you said, the pro bono, Dr. Stevens, and different things that you're doing, yearly to help individuals it's wonderful. Coach Rachel, I hope you didn't lose your thought.
Oh, no. I'm steadfast on what I want to say. So okay. I say that the thing that I like the most is that what we have all said is that as community advocates, in every way that we're looking to make sure that we are coming together and creating a business model. And I think that's the one thing that most people, they don't take the opportunity to assess what can I do as opposed to what we can't do. And the one thing that we can't afford to do, and I'm going to say this, and this is with all the feeling in my heart, is do things always complimentary. Mm-hmm. And I think that people, when people say things are unaffordable, or and the first thing they want someone to do is to give it to them free, as opposed to, as business owners, we have to find a way to, how can we offer the things that we know that everyone needs in a way that still allows them to find success. So very similar to Dr. Stevens, I offer a one-on-one coaching plan. That is what that was originally, that has always been my model. One-on-one allows me to get more in depth. So what I did was I pivoted it to a group session so it would be more affordable to individuals. That allowed them to have some of the core competencies that I offer in my coaching program without the reality of spending $15,000 to $20,000 for a coaching program. You can spend a certain amount of money and still get some of the core components. And okay. I think that those are things that, as business owners who are looking to help the community, we were doing today and are doing in our businesses. But I really like the part that we remember that we have a business that helps people. and we're looking for a way to help them in that business where we're not always doing it complimentary.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
that and sometimes that doesn't help, and so that helps for a brief
Exactly.
period of time because it's
We
only
normally back.
sustainable for a brief period of time.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's only sustainable for because you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
Come on now. That's true.
We started a pilot program, and Dr. Stevens was there, and my intentional girl here, Rachel, was a part of it, and it was cracks in the surface in the core. And all you have to do is just purchase the book, do the work, and be present. And it's for 6 months that we did it for, and it's just for an hour, and it couldn't be more cheaper than anything else. And I hate to say more cheaper, but it's just purchasing a book, being present there, and just doing the work in the book, And if you
Yeah.
needed someone like Dr. Stevens, she's there on there as our consultant. You need to go into a breakout room to speak to her, then you can do that. But if you need her for other services, then she gives you her contact information for you to reach out to her. I'm not a therapist or a psychiatrist, and I say that up front, but I am a trauma coach up on that end. But if you're just going to simply spend a couple of dollars on a book, you sit for an hour, you do the work, and you come back and you just discuss it. Sometimes you don't even discuss it. You have other people talking about their experiences, and that sometimes opens the door for others to be able to speak as well. So we're trying in a community to be able to provide resources and things for our community, which is more than just money. It's about availability, location, and
Yes.
understanding. In a lot of our neighborhoods, there's not enough mental health providers, and the few that exist, they're overbooked. Some folks live in what we call mental health deserts, areas where no real access to consistent care is. Even when care is available, people face other barriers: transportation, scheduling, childcare. And let's be real, if you work 2 jobs or you're caring for family, taking an hour out of your day to talk to a therapist isn't always realistic because you're just that busy. That's why we must
Yeah.
rethink what accessibility looks like through mobile therapy units, maybe virtual sessions, community-based healing spaces, and wellness programs. Right where
Mm-hmm.
people are, meet them where they are. Access means meeting people where they are, not expecting them to come to find us. And I think if we can figure out a better way to be accessible for them, I
So,
think we may see things.
that's
Yeah. I would
a
agree.
good point that Black brings up.
Go ahead.
I know that health, the state sent all of us a memo saying that is the way that we had to deliver services is via
Okay.
telehealth. Because wherever you are, as long as you have internet, then you can access a practitioner in that way. And so I do offer that. It gives me an opportunity to offer services in a more affordable way. And then the person can also have those services in the privacy of their home. So, maybe connect with a practitioner or a coach or someone who does services on a virtually so that they can then make it more affordable. Before we leave tonight, though, Annette, I do want to say this to challenge faith-based leaders. So I want to say to faith-based leaders, right? I would love to encourage you that with your parishioners, right, that you create some kind of a setup, a program, or something where there are a certain amount of funds that can go into providing people in your faith-based community to provide them. I mean, you may not be able to provide this service for everybody, but I've had pastors call me, all right, who have said, well, listen, Dr. Carolyn, I've got some people that I want you to see, send me the bill, I'll pay for it. I want to encourage, faith-based community leaders, follow suit and do the same, perhaps think about, funneling money in that direction so that some of the people that you serve can get those necessary services that they need. It might be a few people a year that you might can just do that for, but creating a fund would certainly help. So that is something you can do. And I speak to faith-based leaders because I'm not only a Christian therapist, I am what they would call a secular therapist. I'm just licensed as a Christian therapist as well. So I work with a lot of people in the faith-based community. And that's why I put that challenge out there, because you're seeing hundreds of people every day, and you know that they need the services. So start to funnel funds in a direction so that some of the people you serve can get those services.
I love it.
Right.
Listen,
So
and
true.
that's a great point you bring out, and I'm glad you put that challenge out there. In addition to that, I'll add to your challenge, and in addition to that, thinking about having staff, in these faith-based organizations, they should think about having, mental health professionals on their staff, as well. I mean, of course, you have the preachers, the elders, or whatever they're called in your faith-based, but have on staff mental health professionals. I literally purposely tagged a pastor here in Chicago, an apostle, David A. Rogers. I don't know if he'll get a chance to look at this or not, but he has staff, that they went to get training and everything. And, they are mental health professionals. So he has them on his staff. So I love that, idea to be able to have that available, for, the congregation, the parishioners, or whoever, will look to that. Because I'll just say this. I know we're wrapping up. I wear many hats at my church, but one of them is as a church secretary. I field a lot of calls. Individuals are always calling in, trying to get therapy and counseling, services. And sometimes it's not something that pastor or apostle will be able to handle. So then the mental health professional, if they were on staff, you know what I mean? That could be a good way for them to get the help. Wow, this conversation went by so fast. Keisha, thanks for coming in. And there are many of you that have come in that did not make comments, but we appreciate you for joining us on this evening on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. We're wrapping up early, 15 minutes earlier on this evening. Because ANet has to be someplace. But I am, committed to this conversation, this Be Well mental health conversations that we have had for the past 3 Wednesdays. We'll have another one on next Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. And what I would love to see next week, we can talk a little bit more with each of you about your own practices. I mean, you've thrown them in, here and there, but I want to get a little bit more detail. So next week we will not have a limit on the time frame, because I want them to know what you offer, at the Kendrick Healing Center. I want them to know what you offer, Dr. Stevens. She told us a little bit. Leadership coach Rachel, we want you to be able to share, some of the things that you are definitely helping individuals out with. And of course, Black Diamond, that trauma-informed life coach. Oh, yes. We need to hear more about that. So I want to kind of get a little bit more into your professional fields and in relation to our Be Well mental health conversations on next week. So if you can be prepared for that, we'll, talk a little bit more so the people will know, and they'll be able to reach out like Dr. Stevens. And I think she put in her, Rachel did. She always puts in her information. I'm grateful for that. Check out her new book that she has, Poverty to Six Figures, Breaking the Chain to Gain. All right. That's the link. And if you haven't gotten it yet, get it. Okay. And keep up with her. Keep up with all of them. They have so much to offer. My goodness. I'm forever grateful for this particular month in talking about Be Well mental health. So ladies, thank you again for your time. I know it's a lot of things we got going on. You're kind of wrapping up your day, but I appreciate it. So thank you again so much for coming. And we want to say a prayer, of course, for Bobby Struchin. Keep her in our prayers. We know that she did lose her spouse, and some things going on. So we want to uplift her, keep her up before the Lord. Black, we haven't stopped praying for you either. We're still praying for you and praying for your strength. Sure. All right. We're going to get out of here next Wednesday. I do encourage you. I will have a 12 noon show. That will be our 4th Wednesday with Dr. Shirley Hill. And, we normally do our health and wellness segment. And so, of course, Dr. Hill focuses on our bodies, right? We're focusing on our minds with the Be Well. But Dr. Hill will be here next Wednesday, 12 noon Central Standard Time. And then we'll be back in the evening for our final Be Well mental health sessions with this wonderful group of panelists here. And they have been given some great insight, some things that you probably didn't know, right? All right. So take it in and receive it. You guys have a great evening. And thank you to those who have joined us, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and given your input. And some of you that may just come back and watch the broadcast in its entirety. We do appreciate you. So until next week.
Get caught in a net with ANet.